So I was taking some video notes while laying under my Dixie chopper, so I remember how everything went back together. And I thought, well, since I couldn't find a video online telling me how to get the electric clutch for the power takeoff off of my Dixie chopper, it might be good if I made a short video. Bottom line is, all I've done so far is take the tensioner off. The tensioner came off with 2 bolts here. I took the tension off of the belt and then removed the belt from the front, the deck to motor belt off of the front pulley. Just kind of pulled it back here out of the way a little, and then I took the belt tensioner off. It just fits right up in there with 2 bolts, and then I popped this guy off. This is the hardest part because it wants to turn. So what I had to do with this is very judiciously put the 5/8 inch long wrench in there and whack it with a large hammer repeatedly. The inertia of the whole mass is the thing that keeps it intact. If you've got a air impact, you could use that, but in my particular case, I was hoping this bolt would be short enough to come past the frame member, which kept me from getting the air impact on. Since it actually doesn't come out, it's hitting this frame member. Since someone cleverly located the motor right over that, I have to loosen up the motor and move the whole engine back just to kind of get it out of the way to get the pulley and the clutch off, which we'll do next. Okay, so what I've done at this point is I've loosened up the engine bolts, all 4 of those, and I have taken off the tensioner right here, took the spring off of that guy, took the belt off so I can move the engine back, and I was able to get it maybe a 1/16 of an inch. Now this bolt's in the way, so I'm going to take that off and then proceed. So I'm not sure if your projects go like this or not. As soon as I got the pieces off, it commenced total downpour. Getting them off is an easy statement, but basically what happened is they just fell off in one unit. I know people talk about having to pry them off and whatnot. I had quite a different problem. All 3 of these pieces, which are now put back into assembly, came off together, and they impinged, being one unit, and wouldn't come past the frame member. So my hard part was getting them separated right here. And there are 3 members here. There's a magnetic unit, and the collar, and the pulley. And it appears the way it works is that the magnet magnetizes and grips, and then makes the pulley go with the center hub. It did come apart, and I actually had quite a bit of time getting it back together when it wasn't near the tractor. I'm sure it'll be a challenge getting the new one in. New one's not in yet, and it's raining, so I'll do that another day. But one of the key things that was difficult, I guess if you're doing this in a hurry, you just need to make sure that you get this collar underneath the bracket here, and then also when you're putting the pulley half on, there's a keyway inside that has to line up perfectly with this collar, and it was difficult to do on the workbench, so I'm sure it's going to be a challenge getting it back together in one piece. If you can get your the motor lifted up and maybe get it all in and out as one unit, it would be very easy. But the way I've got to put mine in piecemeal, it's going to be a challenge for sure. Okay, that's all I can do in the rain. More later. Okay, I've got the old unit pulled apart, cleaned, derusted, WD-40'd, and tested, and it's working like a champ, and I'm fixing to put it back underneath the tractor. I did do a test here under the seat, keys on and pulling the switch up, and works like a champ while it's here local, not hooked up. Hopefully it'll still work when I put it back on, because that's a lot of work. Alright, so that's what I'm going to do next, is just basically bolt that rascal right back where it came from. And you can kind of see here what I got going on. Spring's just kind of holding the upper motion pulley on, well, so it doesn't fall on the ground. And I was able to just barely get that nut off. So I'm sure it's going to be a challenge getting it back on, but that's what I got to do. Okay, step 3 is to employ a daughter and a neighbor to help.
Nice. How's it going? Going good. We needed you though. Oh yeah? Yeah.
Alright, so basically I had to remove the engine bolts and pull the engine completely back to get the new unit in, and it had to go in piecemeal anyway because the bar, regardless of being all the way back, was still in the way. And we've now got the engine back in its original position. Note I made some paint marks here with a paint pen, and it should all be ready to put back together. The hard part's done. Okay, well, here's the end product. It was a quick cut, but it was cutting some knee-high grass down, and it did pretty good. Clumped up in a couple spots, but needless to say, the clutch is fixed.